Hello again and welcome to the Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. The people of the Kwandai constituency in the Northern region may be having a new member of parliament or perhaps retain Matthew Indam as the member of parliament. That is because the country's electoral commission has announced that on the 30th of December this year, there should be a rerun of the elections in the Kwandai constituency. It comes on the back of a Tamale High Court ruling that ordered a rerun of the elections, the 2024 parliamentary election in the Kwandai constituency. The minority in Ghana's parliament has vehemently opposed this decision. The New Patriotic Party, as a political party, has also opposed this decision because the member of parliament is standing in on the tickets of the New Patriotic Party. To know the situation, we give you history of similar situations from 1996 to 2020, how the Supreme Court dealt with such matters and how Parliament as a whole also dealt with such issues.
Rooted in heritage, shaped by ambition, defined by style, inspired by soul. This is Afro Quality, the first multi-country concept store for African brands, now in Nairobi, Kigali, and Accra.
Dear Santa, all I want this holiday
is special family time.
Whenever you come around family, you can find love.
To go on an adventure.
Tickets to every game.
Some giggles.
And a puppy.
Let's go!
Yippee!
This holiday, simply stay connected and get all you want on DSTV, your home of entertainment.
You're welcome back. You're still watching the Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. As I mentioned that before we went on the break, today the focus is on the Kwandai constituency because the Electoral Commission says on the 30th of December this year, there will be a rerun of the 2024 parliamentary election in the constituency because the Tamale High Court says that there should be a rerun of the election in that constituency because of some irregularities and some anomalies that characterize the 2024 parliamentary election in that constituency. The opposition New Patriotic Party and the minority in Ghana's parliament have vehemently opposed this particular decision to rerun the election in the Kwandai constituency. Today on the Situation, as I mentioned earlier, we look at the history of similar situations and how the Supreme Court and the Parliament of Ghana dealt with it, whether some of the seats were declared vacant or they allowed the law to take its course before they were declared vacant and the like. So that will be our focus today on the situation. Then we'll also get a reaction from the New Patriotic Party. On the back of all this, what does the party make of the current situation? Is the party going to abandon the courts or the processes they filed at the Supreme Court and the other courts and focus on retaining the seats, or the party will just go ahead with the court processes and see what the law will have for them? So this is our focus today on the situation. As always, my name is Sami Wiafe and I do this with my friend and colleague Fred Tete Ijabano. Fred, how are you?
Sami, I'm doing okay. How are you?
An interesting week. Well, I'm well by God's grace.
Yes. Every week is interesting, isn't it? Every week is interesting. An interesting week. All the action has been within Parliament.
Yeah.
There's the Kwandai issue. There's the issue of the special prosecutor and the repealing of the act which set up the special prosecutor. You recall that after the whole Kwandai issue, they went back to Parliament and the conversation was as to whether to keep the office of the special prosecutor or not. Yesterday, we saw a memorandum which had been sent to the Speaker indicating that there will be an introduction of a private member's bill to repeal, seeking the repealing of the act which set up the special prosecutor. It's been sponsored by two people. Interestingly, the majority leader Mahama Yaiga, and then Roxy Nelson Dafia-Mekpo, the majority chief whip. They are the two people who are seeking to sponsor this particular bill. Whilst the memorandum and everything was going on, the president was also in a meeting where he was indicated that he believes that it is not time to scrap that office. He says that the office should be given some time to operate and get better. Basically because he feels that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is the only public office which deals with corruption and which has prosecutorial powers to be able to go after people who are corrupt. He says that the Attorney General, as we speak, sometimes it's very difficult for him to go after his own people. So he thinks that the office, which is somehow independent, would be better placed to do that. This afternoon, there was a release from the presidency indicating that the president had engaged the two gentlemen, the majority leader and the majority chief whip, and he's pleading with them to put on hold, to stop the process, because the process of the private members bill has not been sent yet. So just stop the process, halt the process, and give some time for the office to work. Whilst that is happening, there's someone also who is going to the Supreme Court, and the person is a private gentleman, a citizen, who is also asking for the court to make some declarations with regards to the special prosecutor, saying that the special prosecutor cannot be autonomous. Okay. So he wants a declaration that from the Supreme Court or the justices of the Supreme Court that particular section in the Act should be declared null and void because it goes against the Constitution. He believes that is the Attorney General alone who should be given those powers. So you can't make the office autonomous. So that's what was happening in Parliament outside the usual political play we saw on Tuesday when the parliamentarians returned to the House and they returned with a bang, not a positive bang, a negative bang, a bang in the sense that there was the Pandai issue at stake. You recall some weeks ago we were here discussing Pandai when the High Court made the declaration and ordered for the election to be annulled and a rerun organized within 30 days. The MPP and the minority were of the view that that particular decision, that particular judgment was problematic. So as soon as they did that, what did they do? They filed an appeal challenging the decision of the court and also filed a stay of execution to put on hold the execution of this particular judgment by the court. Whilst that was happening, there was also the parliament where some members of parliament, led by yet again the majority chief whip, asking the speaker to make a pronouncement on the decision by the court and declare that particular seat, the Pandai seat, vacant, which was occupied by Martin Yindam as vacant. At the time, the speaker gave a ruling and says that when such judgments are given, there's a 7-day period given for a stay, so that anything which could happen would happen. So he was not going to make any pronouncement at the time, and indicated that there may be some judicial processes which may even stop him from making that particular decision. After that 7 days, we were there some few days ago on Monday when we saw a letter from Parliament signed by the Clerk of Parliament to the Electoral Commission indicating that the seat, which is the Pandai seat, has been declared vacant based on the judgment of the court. This came as a shock to the minority and the MPP. Why? Because according to them, the speaker had made a ruling and they were waiting to see what the speaker would do, especially once the speaker said he was given that 7-day period, and also see whether there will be other judicial processes to stop it. So for them, they were confident in the speaker's decision, knowing that the speaker would hold on till the judicial processes are dealt with. What are the judicial processes? The court, High Court hearing, the execution, stay of execution, the Court of Appeal, which would also hear the appeal. Whilst all these were happening, the Director of Elections of the NPP had also gone to the Supreme Court with a suit challenging actually the jurisdiction of the court and the judge to hear that petition.
That's the Tamale Court.
The Tamale
High
Court.
Okay.
To hear that petition brought before it. Why? His explanation was that he believes that there was a set period which the Constitution had given for such petitions to be filed. And he felt that this particular petition, which the High Court sat and ruled on, did not fall within the period. So the court did not have jurisdiction, or did not have jurisdiction to hear the matter. So this particular leg of the matter was also at the Supreme Court. So the minority were shocked, let me put it, or surprised to see the letter. So they go into the House of Parliament on Tuesday and decide that they're going to draw the Speaker's attention to what has happened and demand a retraction of the letter to the Electoral Commission, so that the processes, legal processes which have been kicked in, will continue. So they made this point to the Speaker. At the time, it was the first Deputy Speaker who was chairing the House or presiding over the House. Bernard Ahiafo, presiding over the House. When the Minority Chief Whip made the particular request or statement in the House, he was expecting the Speaker to also make a comment on it or make a statement on it. But then the majority also felt like once you've made a statement, if it comes to parliamentary practice, then we also have to make a statement or speak to it. This did not go down well with the minority. So they decided that, look, they were going to disrupt the hearings. So they got up, started shouting, singing, raising placards. It went on for a while. Then the Deputy Speaker decides to take some 5-minute suspension to go and meet with two sides to find a resolution. The 5 minutes took about an hour. There was no resolution found. But before we go ahead with that particular, what happened after the suspension, let's listen to the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, with his submission to the Speaker on why he felt that the Kwandai or the letter written to the Electoral Commission should be retracted from by Parliament.
Speaker, we strongly submit that the letter that was filed to the Electoral Commission was out of place, was unfortunate, and flies in the face of law and procedural justice. We submit strongly to this House that that letter must be withdrawn by Parliament forthwith, and we must act and stay consistent with the pronouncements of the Chair, for that matter, the Speaker, on this same matter. We in the minority do not agree to the writing of this letter. We make a strong position that that letter must be withdrawn forthwith. This decision will not stay. This decision will not stay. And Speaker, we humbly call upon you to instruct the clerk. The clerk must be instructed forthwith to withdraw that letter and act according to law.
So that was Frank Anodompre, and you heard his concerns about the letter and the demand to retract that letter. So yes, after the suspension, we got to the suspension. After an hour, they came back, and when they came back, the Speaker himself had taken the seat. And the Speaker then asked that he needed to be briefed on the issues. The minority said, no, if there's any briefing, we have to do the briefing ourselves. The majority says, no, we have to make a comment on what is happening. So it became a back and forth for a very long time. At a point, the Speaker had to rise from the seat because the proceedings was getting out of control. You know, once the Speaker rises, everybody would have to sit and keep quiet. It happened like twice. Eventually, there was another suspension. After the suspension, the Parliament came in and the majority leader was given a chance to speak. And his argument was simple, that the Speaker gave a 7-day period as required by law. That 7-day period has elapsed. And now the Parliament has written to the Electoral Commission in compliance to the order of the court. So that's exactly what is happening, and they believe that it was the right decision taken and it should be upheld and the processes should continue. If there are any other judicial issues, those judicial issues can't take place. So let's listen to or take a look at Mahama Yage's argument on this particular issue.
1125 of the Constitution says that whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurs. Notwithstanding clause 5 of this article, a by-election shall not be held within 3 months before the holding of a general election. So, Mr. Speaker, clearly the Constitution injuncts the Clerk of Parliament whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament. The Clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurred. So, Mr. Speaker, so if we take the records, we notice that on 27th November 2025, 24th November 2025, you had indicated in your ruling that the statutory 7 days, stay, therefore remains in force until 1st December 2025. So once the statutory 7 days was in force till 1st December 2025, it means that the obligation of the Clerk of Parliament will start counting on the 1st of December 2025. So within 7 days of December, the clerk was obliged constitutionally, pursuant to Article 1125, to notify the clerk. So on the 4th of December, the clerk wrote to the Electoral Commission indicating that there was a vacancy because the clerk had been served by the order emanating from the High Court indicating that the court had ruled that there should be a rerun of the election in the Pandai constituency. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that what you are being invited to rule on here today is whether the clerk erred in communicating to the Electoral Commission that a vacancy has occurred, and once a vacancy has occurred, that there should be a by-election in the Pandai constituency. Mr. Speaker, especially your indication in your ruling that filing an appeal may elongate the period during which the member may be allowed to remain in the chamber. So, Mr. Speaker, that is basically what it is. That's all. Nothing really earth-shattering.
Yes, so Sami, that was the majority leader who was explaining to the Speaker why he believes that the decision to send a letter announcing the vacant seat to Electoral Commission was right. So this is what had been taking place in the House.
Quite an interesting one, Frederick,
Yes.
you asked me. But in the mix of all this, the MPP presidential candidate in the last election, Dr. Bawumia, has also been speaking on this matter. He's starting a stall of the Upper West region in his bid to lead the MPP again in the election of 2028. And Dr. Bawumia was confronted with what is happening in the Pandai constituency, and this is what he said.
To say the least, very, very disappointed in what is going on in our country. It looks like our institutions of democracy and our tenets of democracy are being undermined. The issue of Pandai with Matthew Nyindam is not a new issue in our democratic politics. You've had issues with Dana Bodakpi, you've had issues with Citiuation, in Asin, and basically you've had the House allow the court and the legal processes to take place and be exhausted before state institutions are stampeded into acting in ways that undermine democracy. Matthew Nyindam should be given his day in court. He has filed appeal processes at the High Court. He has filed for a judicial review at the Supreme Court, and none of those cases has been adjudicated. So why the rush? Why the indecent haste? I think that he's being railroaded. I think that this undermines our institutions of democracy. I think that we should take a halt to these processes and allow him to have his day in court, just as others have done in the past. The House has never really rushed in this way when it came to the other cases. What is the difference with the case of Matthew Nyindam? I think it should not be this case. I think we should uphold the tenets of democracy. Democracy is something precious that we've all had and we've all subscribed to. When you start undermining its pillars, you break it down, and the consequences for the nation are very severe. And so simply because you have power, you shouldn't feel that you can ride roughshod over your opponents and over the principles of democracy. And so I stand with the principles that are being espoused by the minority in Parliament, and they're doing a good job at it, and we want to support all the principles that they are fighting over in this particular case. Thank you very much. To say the least.
MPP presidential candidate in the last election, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and also one of the hopefuls hoping to lead the MPP again into the election of 2028. They're clearly not happy about the decision of the Electoral Commission to organize a rerun of the Pandai Parliamentary election on the 30th of December 2025 to elect either a new member of Parliament or retain Matthew Nyindam as the member of Parliament for the area. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, Fred and I will take you through the history of similar situation from 1996 to I think somewhere 2020 with the Judicial issue and how the Supreme Court dealt with these matters and Parliament as well. And after, we speak to Haruna Mohammed. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP in charge of operations, what the party makes of all this development.
This Christmas Eve, skip the ordinary and step into the extraordinary. Welcome to the Citiuation All-White Party 2025, where the music never stops, the energy never drops, and the fun never ends. Celebrating grand style with great music, irresistible food, and an atmosphere that screams good vibes only. Date 24th December 2025. Venue Good Pack near the Accra Mall. Time 8 p.m. till late. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. Get ready for electrifying live performances from Kofi Kinata, Perez Music, In Chin Chin Band, and DJ Mingle. Your best best all-white fit. Bring your dancing shoes and let's light up the night together. Book your tables now. Call 0205-973-973 or 0558-973-973. It's Christmas Eve. Don't miss it. The Situation All-White Party 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM, and it's proudly sponsored by EcoBank, Bethel Logistics, and Hallmark Cafe, and supported by Oswald Investments Limited.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. I am Sammy Wiaf, and I'm here with my colleague and friend Fred Tete Ijabando. Today, the focus is on the Pandai constituency, where the Electoral Commission says on the 30th of December 2025, there's going to be a rerun of the 2024 parliamentary election in the Pandai constituency. It comes on the back of a Tamale High Court ruling that ordered the Electoral Commission to, within 30 days, rerun elections in the Pandai constituency. The MPP as a political party has vehemently opposed this decision, and the minority in Ghana's parliament is also not happy about this move by the Electoral Commission to conduct fresh elections in the Pandai constituency. Let's get a reaction from the New Patriotic Party, the political party on which ticket the incumbent member of parliament, Martin Dam, is currently on, and what they make of all this, starting from the transmission of the letter from Parliament to the Electoral Commission, the declaration of the seat as vacant by the Electoral Commission, and the rerun of the election in the Pandai constituency. Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations for the New Patriotic Party. Haruna, thank you very much for your time. The MPP, many people will say, is not happy about the decision, but they say democracy is expensive, so we should allow the law to work as it is.
Thank you very much, Ami. It's not only the MPP that is not happy. The people of Ghana and the true makers of the law will not be happy with the kind of procedure and precedents that is being set within our democratic dispensation. It is very unfortunate that we are where we are today. Everybody, every well-meaning Ghanaian and any student of law and a practitioners of law will be confused at this particular material moment regarding the procedure and the channels in which such profession has been run into. Sami, as you have said, a ruling was delivered by the High Court in Tamale, which the MPP disagreed with the decision of the court and decided to file a notice of appeal and also applied for a stay of execution. This matter was brought to the attention of the Parliament of Ghana, and Parliament of Ghana, in their decision through the Speaker, made reference to the Court of Appeal Rule 1997, CI 19, specifically to Regulation 20. And the Speaker was very specific on the mandatory rule that stated in CI 19, as stated in Regulation 27.3a. And this is something, it's a trite knowledge that everybody is aware that when a ruling is being delivered, it has a mandatory period of 7 days for it to be implemented or for it to take effect. So within the 7 days, the aggrieved persons or persons who don't agree with the ruling have the right to look at the ruling and to make an application by way of disagreement or an appeal or a stay of execution, which will further be enriched by the CI, which has given the notice of an appeal where such matter may extend the stay of execution until the case is determined. So the Speaker made these specific statements, and these were recorded on Hansard. For us to wake up just a day to realize that the Electoral Commission, the Parliament of Ghana through the clerk has written a letter to the Electoral Commission, which has generated the brouhaha in Parliament, which was very unfortunate. The minority did so because the Constitution of Ghana is supreme, and also the laws of Ghana is supreme. and we need to do everything possible to be able to protect the sanctity of our democracy. So we saw that our democracy was being brought down. Everything was thrown to the dogs, and we don't know where our country and the rule of law is running to. Again, the pendency of the appeal that has been put in place, and also the stay of execution. Yesterday, we were in court yesterday for the High Court to hear the MPP through the representation of the Director Legal, who was the lawyer for the Pandai MP, which is Honorable Martin Linda. We argued our case in court. We made references to the Manual on Election Adjudication in Ghana, Volume 2, 5th edition, which is captioned as Compendium of Laws from the Judicial Service of Ghana, on which the judge is a member of, because this is a judicial service, where you look at page 17 of that particular manual. It tells you and refers you to PNDC Law 284, specifically Section 18, and it is said that time for presentation of petition in 18.1, an election petition shall be presented within 21 days after the date of the publication in the Gazette of the results of the election to which it relates. So if it relates to presidential, then if it relates to parliamentary, so it means that in any of the election petitions, this particular CI is the preamble and the base in which we should be filing a petition. So we made this notice to the presiding judge yesterday that because this matter has not been brought to his attention and he was not made known of this particular fact, if he had known the fact before then he would have dismissed the petition before him. And because it was not made to him and he has passed a ruling, the only remedy available to us is for us to appeal and to ask for a stay of execution. And in the laws of Ghana, stay of execution must be necessary and it must be something that is very compelling. So if you see that a wrong precedents were used, defying the laws and logic of the land, and you are asking for a stay because you are going for an appeal, then it is necessary that the judge grants us. When it was time for the lawyers for the NDC, they relied on CI 127 and they mentioned about Regulation 43. And Regulation 43, I was surprised. In fact, I was bleeding within me because the CI 127 is something that I eat and drink every day because it relates to election. And as a member of the New Patriotic Party and from the National Secretary of the party who has been part of electioneering processes, when I read those particular aspects and referred myself back to it, it only talks about declaration and publication of parliamentary results. And if you permit me, it says, subject to Regulation 42. And what is 42 saying? 42 is talking about equal numbers of votes in parliamentary elections. Standard election is not about equal numbers. You are challenging 41 polling stations. And you stated that the difference in there that you are arguing is 500. So it has nothing to do with equal numbers. Then, immediately after the results of the polls for all polling stations in the constituency of the returning officer, then have been given to the returning officer. The returning officer shall, in the presence of the candidates or representatives of the candidate, or not more than 2 counting agents appointed by each candidate, assemble results from polling stations without recounting. So, if you read the judgment of the High Court, it talks about the destruction of ballot boxes and they cannot assemble them and what. That particular provision does not ask for recounting. So the specific provision that deals with whether agents are relevant at the polling station or at the collation center is specifically Regulation 48. Sammy, and if you agree with me, or if you permit me, let me read Regulation 48(2). The non-attendance of the candidate or the polling agent or counting agent of the candidate at the time and place shall not invalidate the act of the thing that is being done. So in these particular circumstances, the 2 reasons adduced by the judge, reference to the violence and also the absence of them, cannot stand in case of the law. The only supervisory law that is remedying elections in Ghana is CI 127, and it must be applied vividly. Again, Sammy, we made our case very known that the court should revert themselves to certain rulings that were made by the Supreme Court in relation to such matters. We made reference to 2001, 2002, and that was a case in Bogatanga, which was an ex-party of Hawaii Akubu, and we made reference to the rulings of the court. The court indicated that the filing of the petition must be filed within time and not out of time. Okay. Again, we made reference to the June ruling of the Supreme Court in Ernest Kumi's case, which was also an ex-party. The court said and gave us a vivid reading that the approved gazette is the one that was done on the 24th of December, which was done on the 24th of December, which was a source of challenge by the NDC, and they submitted that to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court pointed to us as a party, the MPP, that the 6th January gazette notification is invalid. The only valid one is the 24th of December. And if you check, the Pandai one was gazetted on the 24th of December under page number 8123. And this is very specific. Okay. The court was very succinct on it. Again, the NDC proved to us, to the court, yesterday when we were there, that they actually filed their first petition on the 23rd of December, which was premature. And when our lawyers raised the matter, they quickly withdrew that particular petition. And again, before they could file their substantive case in court, they filed it on the 25th of December. 25th of December. So once this was filed, 25th of January, 25th of January, and the cost, that is the security cost, was paid on the 27th of January, indicating that it is way above the 21 days that the Supreme, the PNDC Law 284 has given, and the Supreme Court has sanctioned and indicated that these are the time limits.
Okay, how now? Sorry to cut in. We are racing against time, but sorry to cut in. Now that the Electoral Commission has decided to, organize a rerun on the 30th of December 2025, is the MPP going to the constituency to go and campaign, or you still be in the court challenging the order or the ruling as directed by the Tamale High Court? What is the options for the MPP now? Will you be in Pandai to campaign, or you still want to proceed with the legal process?
We cannot approve it and reprove it. We are in court. Until we exhaust the court procedures, we would not come out to indicate the position. So we would have to follow through the court procedures. One, we have the stay of execution, which judgment will be given on the 18th of December. Then we also have the Citiuation application that is before the Supreme Court by way of judicial review, which will also be heard on the 16th of December. Then these two particular cases are the issues that we are going to follow to get the conclusion of these particular issues, and then we, the party, will decide through the structure of the party, as in NEC or the steering committee, will take a decision whether we go or not.
But if you agree and you know very well that you won the election on the 7th of December 2024, you just have to just go back and reaffirm, that victory which you won in 2024. Is that simple? If you believe that you won the election, why are you afraid to go back to the people who voted for you and say, hey, we are back here, give us another mandate?
Sammy, it's just like a thief taking your money and you have the power to take it from the person. You decide to go and report to the police, and then you see that there is a delay. You decide to go with your own muscles and go and collect the thing from the thief. You have to follow through the law. Once you have reported the matter, it must take the full course of the law for you to get your stolen item back. So we are not going to renege on our effort and say that no, because the Electoral Commission has said what they have said, we are going to abandon. No, we are going to follow the law. Remember that the Electoral Commission in their letter referenced an order of the court and a letter coming from the clerk. There could be an order that is going to the clerk, and that will also run through to the Electoral Commission, and they will still bring out another notice to stop it. So we will follow through the law and make sure that the law works for us. But what is strange in this country is that if we don't take time, Ghana's democracy will not be the same. Sammy, I bet you, if we don't take time and NDC wants to run on this particular route and wants to take on like this, everybody is quiet, the media is quiet, the civil society is quiet, the chiefs are quiet, the National Peace Council, they look like they have swallowed something that they cannot even talk. You look at all the body, everybody is quiet. Everybody is too sad. Their silence is too loud. You see, if they allow these things to do, and in the future that the MPP comes, somebody sits in Parliament, we decide to go and say that we are going for petition, we petition against all of them and draw all of them out of Parliament.
Okay.
And people will begin to talk.
Okay.
This is not the state.
Okay, Haruna, thank
allow
you.
these things to go, this country will not allow all of us.
Okay.
We will not take it, and when we come, we will do worse than that.
Haruna, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the MPP in charge of operations, obviously unhappy about the decision of the Electoral Commission to conduct fresh elections or rerun the 2024 parliamentary elections in the Pandai constituency in the northern region. Fred, the MPP obviously is not happy. Obviously.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Haruna has raised several concerns, and yesterday we had the Deputy Director of Elections for the NDC on CNR, who also came to speak about the issue and also argue their facts on the side of the NDC. So both parties still believe they are right. But at the end of the day, what I always say is that the courts would make the final determination. There is the ruling on the stay of execution on the 18th of December at the High Court. That could say that they are staying the decision. Once they stay that decision, the Electoral Commission cannot go ahead on the 30th.
Okay.
If the court says we are not going to stay the decision, it means that the Electoral Commission can go ahead. There's another application at the Supreme Court. I'm not sure, that's on the 16th, which will be held on the 16th of December. We are not sure what the decision of the Supreme Court would be, whether they would hear also that stay, and whether they will stay the proceedings or execution of that particular judgment. So it's not so clear, but at the end of the day, these issues lie in the bosom of the courts to determine and to see and to give the way forward. So I'm sure by the 18th, latest 19th, we'll have known a clear way forward for the December 30 elections, which has been proposed or stated by the Electoral Commission.
But in the face of all what's happening, this is not the first time we are seeing this, right?
Yes.
There's history to this. There's precedent to this.
Yes. There are a lot of precedents. One, to petitions for parliamentary elections. One, other to decisions of the court, which eventually affect a parliamentary seat. So there's been history. It started. Let's keep to the Fourth Republic. It started in 1997.
Okay.
In 1997, after the elections of the 96, there was one particular seat, the Ayawaso West Wagon seat. The Ayawaso West Wagon seat is a seat which is now held by Judge
That's my constituency.
Your constituency. So after the election of 96, we had two people contest that particular election, Judge Isaac Amu and Rebecca Adote of the NDC. George was with the MPP. Rebecca Adote was declared winner of that particular election. After she was declared winner, the MPP raised some concerns and went to challenge this particular election results in court. What are their concerns? They are saying that the EC's returning officer initially declared that the NDC candidate, Mrs. Rebecca Adote, declared Rebecca Adote the winner, and the result was gazetted on December 19th, 1996. The MPP candidate, George Isaac Amu, challenged this and providing some evidence indicating that some polling stations were not added, and other polling stations in collating the results, there were problems. So they wanted the court to overturn this particular results declared by the Electoral Commission. The High Court heard this particular decision and overturned or declared that the NDC candidate did not win the election.
Okay.
Basically because they agreed with the concerns raised by the MPP candidate, Isaac Amu. So that particular election was annulled. But that particular election was annulled in 2000, the year 2000, getting close to
the end of the tenure of
the
that
December
parliament.
7th elections and close to the end of the tenure of the parliament. But there was an appeal filed.
Okay.
Once there was an appeal filed, the courts had to listen and hear the appeal and also make a determination of the appeal. So this was a process which was ongoing. What was the decision of Parliament at the time? Rebecca Adote at the time was not taken out of Parliament. She was left to stay in Parliament and indeed stay till the end of her tenure. Okay. Eventually, the court ruled that she was not the rightful person. But at the time, she has
already served the 4 years.
Term. But when you go to parliamentary records, because of the decision of the court, it is, you not see her as MP.
Oh, okay.
For Ayahuasca Westwagon.
Oh, okay.
But then she served that 4-year period. And when the decision was made by the court, she was not removed because the court, the parliament waited for the process. And also because of the time left, no decision was taken. That is Ayahuasca Westwagon. Then we go to Keta.
Keta constituency.
Keta constituency. There's a similar occurrence in Keta, but this time round, the Keta issue did not have to do with an election petition. The Keta issue had to do with the sitting MP at the time, Daniel Abudakpi.
Okay.
What did Daniel Abudakpi do? In February 2007, Daniel Abudakpi, he was then sitting MP for the area. He was sentenced to a number of years imprisonment.
Okay.
After a long trial. This trial had to do with false pretenses, willfully causing financial loss to the state, amounting to about some $40,000.
Oh, wow.
He was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. Once he was sentenced, he appealed that particular decision. And in the process of appealing that particular decision, there were concerns with the fact that the MP has been sentenced in prison, he's gone to prison, there's a seat which he holds, and it should be declared vacant. In fact, between the NDC and the MPP at the time, there was a disagreement as to whether his seat should be left till the appeal process is dealt with, or it should be declared vacant because the people of Keta cannot be left without an MP. This was a back and forth. No decision was taken. So Daniel Abudakpi's seat was left without anyone occupying it whilst his appeal process took place.
Okay.
In fact, by the end of the process, it was also up to another election. That was the 2008 election. Dan Abudakpi was granted amnesty anyway, but then within that period, his seat was not declared vacant by Parliament. In fact, there were private citizens who went to court, to the Supreme Court, as far as the Supreme Court, to get the court to declare
the seat vacant.
The processes went on, but as I said, it did not see the light of day because there was the election of 2008. And he, Dan Abudakpi, did not contest. Somebody else contested and won that seat for the NDC. This is another scenario.
Interesting.
So we've seen a scenario from an election petition. We've seen another scenario from a criminal case where the court has given a ruling and the seat is supposed to be declared vacant. But then other judicial and legal processes transpired and what happened in Parliament. The next one would go to the Nkranza North constituency. The Nkranza North constituency in the year 2005. So this is after the 2004 elections. Eric Amoatin. I don't know whether you recall.
I remember Eric Amoatin very well.
The member of Parliament at the time for Nkranza North was Eric Amoatin.
Major Derek Odro replaced him.
Exactly. So Eric Amoatin of the New Patriotic Party. What happened to him? There was a story of how he traveled to the US was arrested with allegations at the time of drug trafficking. He was kept there for a very long time. During the period, he was also a member of parliament, having to represent his people. It became an issue in parliament, where some of the MPs on the minority side at the time, which was the NDC, also called on the speaker to trigger the process of removal based on the fact that he was absent. And he was dealing with legal issues outside the jurisdiction of Ghana, which is the United States of America. The majority at the time also argued that you needed to give him space, you needed to give him time, because the person had not been declared guilty or not. It is only after the person is declared guilty that is when you can declare his seat vacant, and he's not able to serve. That is when you can declare his seat vacant. This also triggered some constitutional debate at the time. Whilst others were demanding the by-elections, others said no. Amwate himself wrote to the speaker initially to ask for some time. And the Privileges Committee at the time gave him a period of time to be able to deal with his issues. After a long while, when he was unable to deal with his issues, or when the court case kept on dragging, he decided to resign. So he wrote a letter to the speaker resigning as MP, which called for a by-election, and as you said, Major Odro, Derek Odro took over the seat. So this is, Amwate's case is also another scenario of an MP not being present, dealing with a legal issue and how the House dealt with it. So we've seen Ayaso West Wagon, we've seen Keta, we've also seen Nkranza North. It didn't end there. Outside Nkranza North, there's also another case of an MP and how he dealt with that issue. But Sami, I think that at this point, we'll take a break. When we return, we'll deal with the next two issues, which had to do with MPs who had to deal with court cases and what the orders of the court meant for their seats and whether they remained or stayed. We'll be right back.
I didn't know this as I say. But I said, if one, the whole fashion empire and fear. Ah, I won't hear and I didn't name fear. That's something to me, man, and your best way. Who bet to me, cool. Mr. Daddy.
Yeah, welcome back, and this is the Situation Room. We've been discussing what the history of parliamentary seats and the decisions of the court and how it affects or affected the MPs at the time. We've gone through 3 different constituencies, and we are going to our next constituency, which is the Boku Central constituency. The Boku Central constituency, which is now the seat occupied by the majority leader, Mahama Yaiga. So in 2004, to 2008, after the 2008 election, Mahama Yaiga went into that election and lost that election to Sakande.
Adamu Dramani
Sakande.
I remember him like yesterday.
Yes.
You know.
After that victory, there was a gentleman who was a farmer, or who is a farmer, who went to court to challenge the election results. not just the election results, also challenged the
qualification of Adamu Dramani.
Dramani to contest. He said he had a dual citizenship.
A Burkinabe and a British citizen as well.
Hence, he couldn't contest as MP, as required by law. When the case went to the High Court declared that the MP at the time was guilty.
Okay.
That declaration was made by Agnes Doji, who is now a Supreme Court judge. At the time, she was a justice of the High Court.
Okay.
After this declaration, Adamu Sakande had issues with it, went to the Court of Appeal, ended up at the Supreme Court. In fact, at the Supreme Court, there was an order for a retrial. But whilst this was going on, there was the other hand aspect of it, which was the criminal case. The criminal case found Adamu Dramani guilty and jailed him. This was somewhere between 2012 2011, heading also close to election. There was the issue of declaring the seat vacant. But then his appeal of the criminal case also kicked in. With the issue of Boko Central, the timing of the ruling of the court and the timing of the election also did not allow for a by-election. So that seat also was remained empty, not vacant. It wasn't declared vacant. It was empty till the next election. Then the most recent one, since North, James
Jachikwesi case.
What happened? Also, someone challenges the results. There's a court case. The High Court declares that he's ineligible to contest, declares the case, the seats vacant, orders that his name should be taken out of the records. There's a Court of Appeal. There's an appeal at the Court of Appeal. It ends up at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court upholds the decision of the High Court and orders that his name be struck out totally from the records of Parliament. But at the time of the High Court's decision, what happened to James Jachikwesi? The majority at the time, which is the MPP, also made moves to declare the seat vacant. Who was the speaker at the time? Alban Bagwin, who was still speaker. He withheld this decision, asked the court processes to go on. The court processes went on. The NDC even had some issues with the entire process. But eventually, when the Supreme Court, the final court of adjudicature, made a decision, his seat was declared vacant and a by-election was held. He came back to Parliament by winning the by-election. So you look at the history, and you realize that for a very long time, when it comes to MPs and courts' decisions, usually, per the history, they wait for the processes to play out in court
before a declaration is
made. But this time round, there's a different interpretation, and we are sure that the court itself would give a clear direction as to what is right and what is wrong.
His name is Fred Jabon. Sami, we have brought you another exciting edition of The Situation that came to you live from our studios here in Accra. So we'll come your way again. May the good Lord be with us all.